I'm Matt Prohaska, proud CEO and principal at Prohaska Consulting. A couple of good-looking folks from our team in New York, San Francisco, and London are here in the back as well. If you don't know us, we've helped more companies in programmatic than anyone in the world, about 220 right now, about 25 here in Western Europe, thanks to Martin Bentley, a good-looking bloke here in London, our MD. So with that, let's introduce our great panel, and it was great for Kieran to respond to the tweets. Rachel, as always, great job in hustling. We'll allow microphones for any buyers on this panel that has great tech firms but no actual buyers in case folks want to throw stuff at us. We're going to save a few minutes at the end. But I think you know all four of these great companies. It's a privilege to be here moderating. We've done a lot with ExchangeWire in New York and now here in London. So let's get right to it so we can get to a coffee break. We normally start off our questions with those closest to the dollars first. So we ask for buyers. And we've got four great tech firms. So we usually look to sponsors, and we have four great sponsors here. So thank you for your participation and support of ExchangeWire ATS as well. So we're going to go in alphabetical order. So Sasha, we're going to start with you. By last name. So give us, this is the closest thing to a sell that we're going to offer you guys up during this 23 minutes and counting here. Where are you guys winning? Has it been placing the bet on self-service like Trade Desk and TwoMogul, now Adobe, have made in kind of earlier days? Was that where the big bet has been made, and where you see the buyers who we're going to talk plenty about, and then we'll ask for their comments as they're sitting here? Is that where the big win has been? And has it been that or multi-channel? Where have you seen kind of more share captured as a successful public company now?
Oh, that's a good one. Actually, it's impossible to give a binary answer. Absolutely not. I think on one hand, it's focusing on the self-service, because that really drives innovation. On the other hand, it's omni-channel, because it's following the consumer. And where the consumer is, the advertiser should go.
So which channel outside of quote-unquote digital, and we have a hypothesis that two words that go away are programmatic and digital because all standard media becomes programmatic, so it isn't a separate thing, and all media becomes digital. But for right now, digital is still this separate line item or slice of the pie. Which channel, non-digital, would you say has been leading success? And the same question for all these other gents as well.
Which non-digital? Okay.
So television, out-of-home, radio, we know you can place bets and
if you look at the future now, it's all about television. Yeah, I think there is no discussion here. I think we all agree here. It's 100% television.
But is that because the buyers are ready in an integrated fashion? I'm an old TV buyer from a million years ago. No way, Jay, right? So, I mean, obviously, that's the largest pie chart. I mean, 72 billion in the US, quite a bit here in the UK and Western Europe as well. That's why the bets have been made that way, wouldn't you say?
I think yes. On one hand, I think the buyers are not ready yet, but they are waiting. The technology is close to be ready yet. And it's just, I think we were talking here about, let's say, half a year, 1 year. If, let's say, we have an increase of, let's say, 20%, and we talk about a period of 2 to 5 years, if we have close to 80 to 90% of TV in digital. So
that would be quite a win for a lot of folks. Jay, you've obviously been on all sides and an all-star here at the ATS. I mean, multi-award winner, I think, from years past, if I can remember. Just a lot of trophies going out to. That's right, man of the match or whatever it was. Yeah, that Kieran does. But tell us, give us your perspective on the buy side, because we have a hypothesis that all trading desks will integrate their trading desks and fold them back into traditional buying by the end of next year. A few folks are often running on that, but it's going to take some time. And that's just the quote-unquote digital spend.
Right.
Give us your perspective now that you've been at Adform running that for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have seen, really kind of starting with, I guess, Viveki moving into, back into the Publicis operating agencies, really being the first one to make that move happen. But the thing that we're really seeing in terms of where the market is growing and going towards is really the brands wanting greater transparency, as we heard about earlier, beginning to take and wanting to take the paper at least in-house, so that they own the contractual relationship between the ad tech vendor, just the same way they own the contractual relationship with their marketing automation services or their email client or the content management systems that they're powering their website. So where we're seeing the real big growth occurring is with brands wanting to work with their ad tech providers directly, and that really is the change that we're seeing, where the decision for the ad server and the DSP is mirroring the same kind of decisioning process that's happening from the DMP side of the equation.
Do you think the agencies will change their playbook? We've we know of the head of global biz dev for one of the top 3 holding companies who has completely unbundled their services instead of packing it into a black box for one fee.
Yeah.
And the brand, he was telling me last month that one of the brand's large client they were trying to retain said, we appreciate all that, but could you do us a favor and actually pack it back up because we have no way of comparing you to everybody else. Thanks, but one percentage would be nice. So there's this back and forth, and so curious about what you think the agency response broadly will be to that. Is it more like M Platform and those types of hybrid models?
We'll be offering both. If you want to work with us directly as the agency, great. If you want to have the contractual relationship with the provider, that works too. So it kind of, and the reality of it is that with very, very few exceptions, the agency is still going to be the one with the hands on the keyboard, turning the knobs and pushing the dials, right? So somebody has to execute on it. The agencies understand the media landscapes in their markets much better than procurement ever will. And with the exception of Reckitt, who's probably been the most advanced in this, and obviously you guys work closely with them, is pretty much everyone else, even though they say they have an in-house trading desk, it's really not. The agency is still the one who's pressing the buttons.
Yeah. So Nick, at Adobe as MD for a while, pre-Adobe, and now responsible for the full stack here. Give us a sense with Sasha as one of the leading self-service folks. Has it been where the brands will contract directly with the tech platform and then tell the agency, here, use this, and you don't have to get involved with contractual commercial terms?
I think very much so.
Do your job.
As Jay said, I think lots of brands want to own the paperwork, but for every 100 brands own the paperwork, 99 of them run to the agency. But I think that's the positive for the agencies who are now able to actually charge for their service, their client service, and that service layer is becoming really, really important. It also creates a new role for the agency when it comes to not just running the managed service with DSP, but also looking around DMP consultancy as well. So the new business models that agencies are looking at in this world that's become much more driven through transparency.
So, all right, question. Without giving specific numbers, because you're still privately held, I think, as of this morning,
Last
right?
I checked.
Yeah, okay, great. So, percentage of customers at Beeswax, agency versus brand direct these days, just picking up on the kind of who's owning the tech or at least the contractual relationships.
Sure. So Beeswax is a very different kind of DSP, small, technically focused, very self-serve, including building algorithms and APIs on top of us. We have 0 agency clients for those reasons. Our clients are a mixture of...
I don't think that was meant to be a slam.
That's not fair.
Normally good humor on stage, but yeah, it's maybe subtle.
Well, I don't want to waste anyone's time, right? So we're... So we sell to 2 groups of customers, ad networks, actually, legit ad networks that have great data or other unique assets. People like Foursquare, many of the mobile ad networks use us. And marketer direct, where the marketers are very hands-on, not just paperwork. We have clients like a major movie studio who wrote their own algorithms on top of us to drive ticket sales. We have a big e-commerce company who's using us as a replacement for Criteo. Folks who have engineering and data science and want to really differentiate on the buy side.
For those of you who don't know Ari or aren't jumping on LinkedIn already, he built out a lot of the App Store at AppNexus back in the day. So a lot of those learnings, where people are kind of BYOD and bringing something. So it's sort of, would you consider yourself sort of we'll build the plumbing and you bring your own
Absolutely.
first party to it and then go nuts?
Yeah, the way we talk about ourselves is we have all the technology of a DSP, but we reproduce it per customer, so they get the benefits of having their own DSP.
So how often, question about MadTech, and we'll work our way back down here. Yes, Sasha, sorry, go ahead.
Let me just add something, because I think that was a really, really unfair comment. Because if I look at the large holding agencies as well as some of the tier 2 agencies, they're very, very sophisticated and programmatic, and they really build huge technology on top of existing DSPs.
That's
and I think they
true.
would be able to use your technology as well.
Well, I think, first of all, you should be thanking me for not competing with you.
Maybe you're just too small. Let's wait 2 years or 3 years.
I think on that point, though, the way in which agencies are utilising automation now has changed fundamentally over the last 6-7 years. I think to begin with, it was really driving revenue in a very, very different way to what it is now. I think there's much more focus, as you say, around the service layer in terms of the skill set, the functionality within those organisations, and not just from a trading desk point of view, but quite often you see trading desks that's specific to brands within those agencies. So I think fundamentally the landscape has changed in the service layer piece. And I think kind of some brands and some agencies have become much more sophisticated in how they utilize automation.
I think it's fair to say that everyone on the panel, I think, would agree that there's this trend towards the brands taking more control, more paperwork, more data ownership. And then how the other vendors and how the hands on the keyboard shake out varies based on the relationship and the staffing.
Speaking of staffing, want to get to two different bridges where this has been very, very nice for a decade in paid media of the targeting and the placement of the ads. I want to ask about creative and want to ask about marketing. So let's talk about creative teams. How many meetings have you guys had in this year with creative departments?
All the time.
Yeah? So
I mean, because we're unique in the landscape of having an ad server and the creative suite as well as the DSP.
DCO as in dynamic creative optimization.
Absolutely.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the full. I mean, in fact, actually, we just announced today full MRC accreditation, which is obviously a big, huge, and enormous step and a big check to have to write. But
Yes. George runs a good business, yeah.
But it's critical, right? It's one of the prerequisites for how. For being able to do business with the top tier brands around the world, and having it start actually at the creative side, how the planning and the strategic planning is happening from the creative and the messaging, and how that rolls in from the ad server into the DSP and then on to the DMP for further targeting capabilities is really, this is incredibly important. And so we play a very close role with the creatives.
I think also it's an exciting time because for a long, long time, creative was far away from the concept
From
of
data, yeah.
But I think it's what's become really interesting post-acquisition. Within Adobe, you look at how you can connect the Creative Cloud, the Analytics Cloud, and execute to the Advertising Cloud. How do we start to bring these pieces together from the creative side for the brand? It's where things should be going.
So one solution, enterprise-wide, selling it all? It's coming together, right?
We believe so,
Different teams, yeah.
absolutely. I mean, 65% of our customer base uses 2 or more of the stack. So whether it's ad server and DMP or it's ad server and DSP, and then we're increasingly obviously seeing more and more where they're adopting the third and the triple play.
Yeah, Michael nicely talked about integration and some of the consolidation with Kieran earlier, and we've got a theory that probably isn't too unique, where you've got one set of sell-side tools, one set of buy-side tools, and that's kind of it. And it seems like everyone's lining up a little bit closer to that, where the buyer can understand, even if it's just for one fee and great, we'll take it all, or it's pieced out, and I know what it is. What do you think?
I don't know. I cut my teeth at DoubleClick doing the rich media business,
Yeah.
and our wholesale was DoubleClick plus DFA is better than DoubleClick plus point roll, and we just beat the market to death with that, and we did well.
Yeah.
But we did not run the table. We never got to anywhere close to 100% market share. Point roll and seismic, or whatever it was called at the time, were doing quite well. And it was appealing, but it was not a trump card. It did not win every deal, and I don't see it working differently in this marketplace.
You don't think the people at the other end using the services have evolved in 10 years?
I think there are benefits to choosing best-of-breed vendors for your solutions. Like DMP, DSP is the classic example. They do go to well, and it works really well for some clients, but you don't see 100% of customers, or even 50% of customers, using the same DSP and DMP.
No, true.
Depends on the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because largely,
Depends on the customer.
because in the States, right, how many people, what's the percentage of market share that the advertisers that use DCM, and what's the DMP that DoubleClick has put out? So it's being
still-
rolled in and out of beta.
still in
right?
beta,
So it's
right.
not-
That's a good point.
yeah. So because DoubleClick doesn't have the DMP, it's not been widely adopted in the U.S.
Well, even the U.S. market for DSPs, Trade Desk has a huge market share. I mean, it's
Yep.
not, no one's running the table. Everyone's doing well, but
True.
it's
Yeah, you guys have
still
done
choosing the
exceptionally
right
well.
solution.
I have another question, because if you're meeting all the time with the creative teams, which is great, it's really awesome, because I think the media planning teams, they don't meet all the time with the creative teams.
In fact,
as well as the
sometimes they're in separate agencies entirely, separate agency holding companies.
But this
yeah.
is mainly because of the ad serving technology, the DCO technology, isn't
Right.
it? Or because of the DSP, the programmatic stack?
Depends. Well, for our sake,
Yeah.
and because Adform works very much in the smaller markets throughout Europe,
Yeah.
the agency is in the same building. The creative agency and the Pilot being a great case, or Stream in Sweden, or Unique in Italy.
Unique.
A lot of these guys, it's especially the independent agencies where they don't make their money off of the confusion of the ecosystem, right? They want a single stack.
Yeah.
Sorry to
but
hijack.
also, no, I mean,
It's a great
to another earlier point, we highlighted this in our training. One of the leading places we need to help educate more are our CFOs and procurement departments. We saw Kieran throw a nice tweet out at that earlier. And one of the reasons why media and creative got split votes with a lot of brands is because of dollars, not necessarily because, oh, these guys are the best synergistic fit when they're at competing holding companies who normally hate each other's guts and now have to work together and actually sit in a room at the obs and strats phase. Curious about the rest of the marketing stack, and so going into earned and owned. How much of the roadmap, how much of the customer set, I'm guessing it might skew a little heavier for Adobe given its legacy business, but are you looking to reach out into other dollars under the CMO's tenure? Or it's kind of, we'll get to that right now. There's too much to win right now in paid media.
If it's a part of omni-channel, and if it's possible to approach the media programmatically, so if you're able to use your data, your digital data, on owned or paid or whatever, then of course it's a part of the whole innovation, and part of the innovation roadmap. Yes, of course, that's a target. The target of an omni-channel stack is to execute all your data you have on digital media.
On media, right. But we've been pleading with our buyer clients and our seller clients that they've been paying for this DMP for a long time. We're like, you realize you could tie this into your CMS and probably do a little more. You realize you have a promotions department that, when people are coming to your site, you could probably change the content a little bit, and there's no change in your fees. So, why aren't you using it? And it's amazing how a lot of folks don't realize to kind of turn to their left and right organizationally to recognize that maybe something can be a little more leveraged a little bit more because of all the silos. All right, what do you think? Are there, are you even bothering going there right now? Or?
It's a big Loomascape. I think earned is often being bundled with social. So people who do social paid will do social earned or listening, and that's a very robust space with a lot of great solutions. Tends not to be a great business. So I think that there's for any DSP thinking about like going into social or trying to own that would be a really big step forward and probably be a less attractive market from a lot of fundamentals.
So not exciting for Beeswax to be building Facebook bidders.
I'm just trying to remember to pay payroll every 2 weeks. I have an email reminder just in case.
Early days. We understand. Big trip for both of our companies. Yeah, understand. Yeah, Nick.
I think marketers care about reaching audiences, and I think for too long, either the agency structures meant that we kind of live in a siloed world. So we have social teams, we have mobile teams, we have digital teams, we have AV teams, and the consumer doesn't live in that world. So how can we kind of utilize software to reach audiences in a much more efficient and effective way? That's really what we should be focused on. And that's why kind of when you think about Facebook, it becomes a publisher. It's a fantastic inventory source. It brings a lot of scale. But enabling advertisers to reach those audiences across screen, device, and platform is exactly what we should be doing.
7 minutes left, and Rachel again hustled with the tech folks to have microphones available. So if you've got questions, we're going to keep our heads up and look for you, and we'll repeat them if we don't get the mic in time to be able to keep things flowing. Just raise your hand and we'll go. In the meantime, what's the biggest hurdle in terms of, we always talk about tech, targets, and talent in terms of the three areas where things need to change. And obviously with tech folks on here, what's one thing on the wish list, staying in omni-channel, to help the buyer? That, geez, it would be nice if either the teams at the buy side were X, or it would be nice if the data that was available were Y. Have we got, what bubbles to the top that you constantly kind of shake your head going back to the office?
I think the hurdle number one for the whole industry is talent. Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. Yeah, it's absolutely no-brainer.
Because they're in the wrong places, or they're too siloed, or there just aren't enough of them?
I think there's enough there, but I think we have to do a better job to make media more attractive again. It's getting more.
Media great again.
Let's make media great again.
Spare the red hats, please.
We have to work on that.
Thanks for reminding me what sad country I'm in.
And then on the other hand is, we talked a lot about this bullshit bingo about artificial intelligence and machine learning, and so many people are believing in that. And I think that directs to the next main issue. It's education. Yeah? We have to educate the whole industry more about what's real and what's not real. And that comes in the end back to talent. But talent is more, this is about the youngsters, but it's about education of the ones who are already there and who will be there for the next 10 years and who are there for the last 20 years to make them really, learn again and again. It doesn't work if someone makes decisions who just stop learning.
Yep.
So-
And we've seen Omnicom and Publicis start to do their integrations, folding folks back. Havas is, I think, 5,000 into their 20,000 so-called trading.
The agencies
They're
did an
getting there.
awesome job. They changed the whole business model, the whole structure totally. And they are currently the front runners of programmatic.
Yep. Jay, what's on your wish list?
It's on my wish list.
Targets or talent?
Yeah, I
Need
mean,
more?
talent recruiting is obviously a huge challenge. Yeah, that's what I'll leave it at.
Yeah. Nick? Anything else?
Greater transparency, remove walled gardens,
Yeah.
decoupling of
That one.
software and media. Those two
Well, we've
areas.
got four bright guys up here, plus me, that are at companies that could help. I mean, the walled gardens exist because there's obviously a greater business justification for 2, maybe 3 or 4 companies shortly to act that way. It just seems like if the brands can make a bigger business case, and we think attribution is probably the largest arms race coming in 2018 when a lot of brands realize how unfair. I'm not saying everyone's leaning, putting a finger on the scale all the time, but let's just say they've done a couple companies have done a really good job proving that there's a cause and effect to ads running only in their platform than elsewhere. Seems like we got 4 companies that are helping show another point of view there, right?
Walled gardens are bad for marketers, ultimately. Marketers would prefer to have fewer tech stacks, fewer systems, and a single dashboard view of their entire universe, and walled gardens are the main reason they can't in digital. However, they exist because the people who run them have the power to make them exist. I think that what the implication is for independents who aren't part of the walled gardens is transparency, APIs, clear business rules, because if you have to combine all this data, you have to make it easy for the customer.
Yeah, and transparency of the fees too. I mean,
Absolutely.
this becomes really important. When you talk to marketers will say, "I ask my agency to push as much through Google and Facebook as I can until it stops to work, and then I put the rest of it in other places." And the reason why it works is while they do have higher take rates or have take rates themselves, if you think about where it starts for the pound and penny, or the pound that goes through or the euro that goes through, and where it ends up on the publisher, the amount which is taken out from trading desk, DSP, SSP, and then tangentially third-party, viewability, data providers, et cetera, that, it's leading to 30p per pound that's going to working media.
Yeah, 42 in the U.S. according to the last. But hey, down from 55.
Yeah,
So much.
but it's really
It's 4 in
this poses
TV,
a
by the way.
huge challenge.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So
So why
ways
does
to go.
TV work?
8.
TV works
Yeah.
because of the low take rate.
That helps. 7 and out of home. Yeah.
I think they thought of the duopoly, or let's include Amazon as well. They thought that they can secure their price and their data. But I think we all here will, in 2 years, dance on the graveyards of walled gardens. I really don't believe that they will exist in 2 years anymore.
2 years. Tweetable moment
Let's keep
from
out
Sasha
Amazon.
at the trade
Let's
desk.
keep out Amazon out of it. No,
ATS 2019,
but
Karen.
really, let's talk about 2 years. It's if they will open up, they will massively increase demand. Yeah, and if you're a sophisticated agency, or even if you're a small agency, if you're a media planner, it's not all about reach. It's as well about frequency. And you get reach through a walled garden, but you just get frequency if you add all your channels you have. And if you have a media plan, and if you're an advertiser and you think about really getting frequency, you need a holistic approach, you need an omni-channel approach. So if they open up, they will massively increase their demand. If they increase their demand, what will they increase? They will as well increase their price. And it's all about increasing their price, increasing the revenues for the walled gardens. So I think it's a no-brainer, and I think they already know it. But let's make a bet, 2 years.
Well, let's ask him. Oh, wait. All right, 60 seconds left. We're going to try to break format. If anybody wants to ask the first question at ATS 2017. No? I know, these guys are good. We're good? All right, closing thoughts?
I think we're going to see this continued movement towards transparency, towards tech-driven solutions. And when we talk about consolidation, that's because vendors who haven't invested in tech or make their money through non-transparency are just not going to be able to survive.
One question from a journalist we recognize over there on the right. Sir, yes?
How many of you can survive in the ecosystem?
Like each individuals, or a
We'll be
total
okay.
number?
Oh, for those 4. Yeah, right. I mean, my blood pressure's all right. I mean,
I'm not going to beat you up.
Companies or personally?
Companies, I think you
How
meant.
many platforms can actually be economically viable in the ecosystem? And how many do we need?
Well, most mature systems, most mature industries have 3 to 5, right? GE always, said we're either 1 or 2 or forget it kind of thing. So, I mean, maybe 4 or 5. If you then say 4 or 5 sell, 4 or 5 buy, that might be it. But again, plenty of point solutions and gap filling, right?
My hypothesis has always been that the sell side is pretty one-dimensional. It's about making publishers more money and protecting them, and as a result, there'll be a lot of consolidation. There shouldn't be that many publisher-side platforms. The buy side is extremely diverse, and if you look at an organization like a big car manufacturer, they may have 20 different budgets, 20 different business owners, hundreds of KPIs, and so it's unlikely to consolidate as aggressively. There's going to always be creativity and diversity on the buy side.
I think you will see that consolidation, though. The market
You'll see,
needs it.
yeah.
The market needs it. and
It's
I
already
think-
happening, right? Seismic buying Rocket Fuel being, a great case in point. You guys being bought by Adobe. I mean, that really is. I mean, when you look at it, that's really the first shot across the bow in terms of the major ERP players beginning to move into the space. And we will definitely see more. You still have, Salesforce, Oracle, SAP, IBM, still have yet to make their moves.
So we'll place bets through Ladbrokes in 2 years, which happens first. Google and Facebook walled gardens come down, or all 4 great companies here continue to thrive. With that, I know we've got a cocktail break. Great. No, I place bets on you guys. Yeah, or cocktails would happen. That's true. Last thing, Kieran, we appreciate the nice spread in the water and everything. The table is here. A lot of us prepped for hours getting our stage socks together. I don't know if it was because Ben Barocas wore flip-flops with no socks last year and just trashed the place. But really, I think it's because you wanted to have everyone listen to us. So hopefully you got some good insights from these 4 wise men. Please join me in thanking them.